Good evening, everyone. Would you please take your seats? We're going to begin the meeting. So welcome to the Utility Safety and Environment Committee meeting for Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the Utilities Committee meeting minutes for April 12th, 2023. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Simmons, second by Mr. Oswald. Are there any questions?
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item number 2 is going to be removed. We've already done that. Agenda item number 3 is the matter of revisions to Chapter 932 of the Elyria Codified Ordinances, Sewer Use, and this is referred by Mr. Corzine. Mr. Corzine.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I have Shane Derricott, our Industrial Pretreatment Supervisor, with me tonight for this as well. There are 3 sections that we're looking to revise in the Sewer Use Ordinance, and you have packets for this. Section 932.01 is definitions, and what we're looking to do here in the highlighted paragraph is add a definition for a centralized waste treatment facility. And this definition is taken directly out of the U.S. EPA guidance documents. So we're looking to add that definition because that is important for another section that we're going to talk about. That's the only thing that's going to be added to 932.01. 932.03 under letter E, we're looking on the last page of that section to add item 19 that says any waters or wastes from centralized waste treatment facilities, parentheses CWTs, except for company employee restroom sanitary discharges. So this would be listed under general discharge prohibitions. And the reason that we're looking to do this is because US EPA and Ohio EPA do not regulate centralized waste treatment facilities like they do other industries and businesses as far as their regulations go. All they require is for these places, if they were to come into the city, is they want them to precipitate out the metals. Anything else that happens to be in that water, they allow them to discharge it to our wastewater treatment plant. Well, there's a lot of organics that are toxic that our plant can't handle. Our plant's too small. We're not like some of the larger plants like Cleveland, Cincinnati, other places that take over 100 million gallons a day of wastewater on dry weather days. We've taken 5 million gallons a day. So these types of organic compounds can really harm our plant in a hurry and put us in dire straits with EPA. And also, it would pass through the plant and go to the river. So what we're doing until the day that EPA decides to require additional treatment for organics for centralized waste treatment facilities, we're looking to prohibit discharges except for restroom sanitary. So that's what we're looking to do under section 932.03E. In section 932.04, we have are doing rather well. All the facilities that need to have amalgam separators installed, they do. And so we're looking to add the highlighted paragraph O, which says, in following the above BMPs, which is all the others, and through the proper installation and maintenance of an amalgam separator, all dental offices should be able to be compliant with a maximum concentration of 4,900 nanograms per liter for mercury in their discharges. And Shane Derricott here, he does all the sampling, he does all the inspections, and he works hand in hand with the dental users, so he can answer any questions that you have as far as how this could impact or not our dental facilities. We don't see that it's going to, because we do work very well with them. And so, and again, the reason for this addition is because Ohio EPA requires us to have our own best management practices for mercury in our discharge to the river, and it's called a mercury pollution prevention plan, which we have. And they expect us to continue to work on that plan year after year to make things so that we can get the discharge of mercury from our plant effluent, lower over time. And it's been a good number of years since we've done anything. We've done a lot of things at the plant and everything, but we haven't done anything outside of the plant for a few years now. This is one item that we can do that would show Ohio EPA that yes, we are still working on this plan, and they will be happy with what we're discharging to the river as long as we keep working on this. So I'll entertain any questions on either of these, and Shane can jump in.
Thank you, Mr. Corzine. Are there any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Brunig.
It might be in the committee report already. Terry, what's your timeline on needing this taken care of? It's going to be an emergency.
Yeah, the deadline, there's a number of things we have to do yet. The final deadline for submittal of everything, including a study, is August 15th. We're looking to get the ordinances all set because Ohio EPA wants to have some interactions with us prior to us submitting the finals on the entire study. So the sooner we can get this to them, they can evaluate it and give us their approval so we can complete the rest of the study and get it submitted by that deadline.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of revisions to Chapter 932 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria Sewer Use Ordinance, 932.01 definitions, 932.03E general discharge prohibitions, 932.04 specific pollutant limitations, grease, oil, and sand traps. And this is an ordinance authorizing the amended charge changes. I am so sorry. Amending the said changes to the Chapter 932 per the attached emergency clause is requested due to the EPA deadline. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Oswald, second by Mrs. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Corzine, before you step away, would you introduce the young man with you? I think we've met before.
Yes, this is Shane Derricott, our industrial pretreatment supervisor. He's been with us for 5 years now, and he's doing a phenomenal job in the industrial pretreatment area. He's obtained a number of additional certifications, and he's just picking this stuff up really well, and he's basically carrying the entire program, and he only comes to me if he has a question or something like that, and we'll get together and that kind of thing.
Well, welcome. Thank you for coming to the utilities meeting. We're going to move on. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the matter of the purchase of 3 side-loading sanitation trucks, and this was referred by Rodney I. Mr. I did come and speak with us a few weeks ago and explain the need. Is there any further questions or discussion needed? Yeah, he said he didn't need to speak, though. Do you have a committee report? There are no questions or anything?
If I could.
Mr. Lundy?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Bob Woolley's here, obviously, if you have any additional questions. I guess I just want to remind council on behalf of the administration that it was a couple weeks ago that the mayor had the opportunity to present to council kind of some of the items that he felt were important for council to take a look at as we look at expending these ARPA dollars. Of course, the goal is to look at the wide scope of needs in the city, also with the hope of getting feedback from council members and what they see as needs in the city. And then, as the mayor pointed out, after a full discussion, then maybe council would still end up deciding that a large purchase such as this would be warranted. And again, the administration is just asking that we, also pump the brakes a little bit, get all the ideas on the table, and at the end of the day, if the decision's still made to make a purchase like this, then that's the decision of council. And so noted that we do have until the end of 2024 to decide instead of bracing to make some of these investments. The administration's always been supportive of sanitation and will continue to be supportive of sanitation. It's just a matter of, again, asking the council take a look at the needs of the city with input from all council members before moving forward on such major purchases as this one today.
Thank you, Mr. Lundy. I think it was decided in finance and full council that we were going to move forward with this, or am I mistaken? Anyone on the committee?
Well,
Mr. Brunig?
not on the committee, obviously, but I can tell you that, yes, the decision was made at finance and full council as to the allocation of the money and budgeting purposes to make this purchase possible. Obviously, as we've discussed before, it needed to come back to this committee to determine the need and the method of purchase, and that's what you're here to decide. Just because the money's in the budget doesn't necessarily follow that it has to be spent. That's still ultimately your decision on this committee, and again, at full council.
Thank you, Mr. Brunig. Ms. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair, could you give us the cost of these 3 side loader sanitation trucks? As I have had the opportunity to talk, and we can see on our own, in our own residence, how the sanitation trucks are so beat up, and sometimes they're sitting on the side of the road because they cannot continue to perform their duties because the trucks are so old. They're over 13 years old. So can you give us a cost of these 3 trucks so we can finalize?
Absolutely. The cost I see is $1,213,873.80. Bob, if you'd like to come, and I apologize for calling you by your first name, if you'd like to come up and speak and answer any questions. Mr. Sarah?
For you, even though I'm not on this committee, that's per truck, or is that for all 3 trucks? Thank you.
Is your mic on? You push the button. You have a green light. Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Do we want to move forward with this? Everybody shaking their head, yes? Okay.
I would like to move forward.
Thank you. So, no further questions? Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to go ahead and read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the purchase of 3 sanitation trucks, and this is a legislation, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for the purchase of 3 side-loading sanitation trucks through Sourcewell pricing. ARPA funds have been allocated for this purchase. Emergency clause is requested due to the long production time. So can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Oswald, second by Mrs. Davis. Are there any further questions?
Call for the question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you again. The next item on the agenda is the matter of entering into a contract for the 2023 street sweeping program. Mrs. McKillop.
Good evening, thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. We are requesting authorization to bid out and enter into a contract for this year's street sweeping program. Funds have been allocated in the 2023 permanent budget in the amount of $220,000. Half of that is out of wastewater, half of that is out of stormwater. We'll plan on doing what we did, similar to what we did last year, where we have a base bid for the spring, summer sweeping, which picks up the majority of the material that's collected over the winter months. And then depending on the cost of that, as long as it fits within the budget, we'll have a second sweeping cycle in the fall.
Say that fast. Mrs. McKillop, with all of the construction going on, will that hinder the street sweeping?
What we usually do is notify the sweeping company on what streets work's currently taking place, and they'll just avoid those streets so we don't get charged for those.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair, Ms. McKillop's question. Last year, did we end up getting 2 sweeps?
Yes.
Because I know it was a budgeted thing if we had enough money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, curious, thank you.
Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair. Do we do a contract every year? We don't have a 2 or 3 year contract that,
Nope, we usually do one every year.
is it cost changing that much? That,
It does go up every year, a little bit.
we can't get a 2 year contract to kind of lock us in?
We can, I suppose. Now, we've had the same company do the sweeping for the past 20 years. I shouldn't say the same company, we've had the same, it's a different company, but it's a company that was bought out by another company. So we've worked with the same people, for about the same, that 20 years or give or take. I don't know in the past if it was ever considered to do a multi-year contract. We haven't discussed it recently about doing that.
Thank you, Mrs. Mitchell. So, Ms. McKillop, I mean, you say you've worked with the same company or, the subsidiary or, whatever of that company, but you've been bidding this every year. They're the responsive bidder every year. I mean,
Yes.
it's not like we're just choosing to work with them. I suppose we could alter our bid specs to do a multi-year contract. I don't know what that would yield. I mean, that's, to answer Mrs. Davis' question, I mean, that would be a matter of negotiation prior to developing bid specs, but I don't know whether that's worthwhile. That's up to you and the committee, whether that's something that you think you'd want to go forward on.
Yeah, that would need to be something that we would have to consider. Because we do know that on an annual basis, the dumping fees, which is a large component of, the cost, at the landfill, does go up every year. And so our bid prices reflect that. If we were to look at a multi-year contract, then...
We wouldn't know what the dumping fees would be, though.
No, I mean, I guess it would be up to the bidder to determine, do they want to be cautious as far as that bid, the dollar amount for that item, or are they willing to risk, the fees not jumping up, that following year?
Thank you. Mr. Oswald, did you have your hand up?
She answered it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the 2023 street sweeping program, and this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for said program. Monies are appropriated in the 2023 budget in the amount of $220,000, $110,000 to wastewater, and $110,000 to stormwater. Does it need to be emergency, Ms. McKillop?
Yes, please.
And this will be an emergency clause. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Simmons, second by Mr. Oswald. Are there any questions?
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is a matter of entering into a contract for the 2023 Wesley Water Main Replacement Project. Mrs. McKillop.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, we are looking to get approval for advertising and awarding a construction contract to replace the existing water line on Wesley from Cleveland Street north to the dead end. This street was on the street resurfacing list last year, and we pulled it because through conversations with engineering and the water department, we determined that that water main needed to be replaced prior to any road work taking place. Over the winter months, we had the plans designed, and we're ready now to advertise and go out to bid. The estimated budget cost for this construction work is $1.2 million out of the water fund, and it has been appropriated in the 2023 budget.
Thank you, Mrs. McKillop. Are there any questions for Mrs. McKillop? Mr. Oswald? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. Question, where's that water main? In the street, sidewalks? Do you have a clue yet?
Part of it's going to end up being in the grass area. Part of it's going to be in the street. I don't know the percentage, but no sidewalks will be disturbed as part of this project. I can't guarantee that, but we're not planning on having the water main under the sidewalk.
Through you, Madam Chair, I guess that was my question. How much repair were they going to do afterwards? So, okay. It's been long waited by Mr. Councilman Jack Sarah, and he's finally happy that it's getting done. So we want to get it as pretty as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sarah, did you have your hand up there?
Through you, Madam Chair. So what's the start dates?
If we get it advertised, excuse me, if we get it advertised in June or July, we're hoping to have it started and completed before the end of the year. Now, depending on the timing of it, we'll see if we get pavement restoration in this year or if it'll have to roll into next year.
Through you, Madam Chair, when it comes to the restoration part, are they going to do anything with, was it poplar right there that was on the list as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair, do usually the same companies that does this kind of work usually bid, so they kind of know the city and they bid for these jobs, so we're not like out of the realm of somebody we don't kind of know?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Thank you, that helps.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the Wesley Water Main Replacement Project, and this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for said project. Monies have been appropriated in the 2023 budget, excuse me, from the water fund. Does this need to be an emergency, Mrs. McKillop?
No, it does not.
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Simmons, second by Mrs. Davis. Are there any other questions?
Question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is a matter of entering into a professional service agreement with AECom for the Wet Weather Program, Amendment Number 10. And this matter was passed by Finance on April 24th. Mrs. McKillop.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, this is the 10th Amendment with AECom, who has been by our side through the whole negotiation process with the EPA for our consent decree. As you may know, on January 10th, our consent decree was finalized, and this year is our first year under that consent decree. So we have AECom helping us put our semi-annual report in a format that will meet the requirements of the DOJ and the EPAs. We have them helping us to make sure that the requirements that need need to be completed within this first year are done, per our consent decree. And, we have them also working on our projects. In a couple, we have them helping with, construction assistance. As far as our technical side of things, we have them designing our east diversion structure and looking forward to, other plant projects that are required through this program. The monies have been appropriated this year. We're looking at $1.2 million. And it's already going into May, so we did have funds left over from last year's amendment, which has got us this far. So we're hoping that, you know, through our due diligence, we can possibly get this year stretched out to about the same time next year.
Are there any questions? I see your hand, Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Madam Chair, real quick, what does AECOM stand for?
I couldn't even tell you.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, that's okay, I was just curious.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of amendment number 10 with AECOM Technical Services Incorporated for the SSO/CSO/WWPCP Wet Weather Program for 2023. And this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into amendment number 10 to the said agreement with AECOM. Additional monies of $1.2 million are requested and are appropriated in the 2023 wastewater miscellaneous fund professional services. Mr. Brunick.
How fast do you need this, Kathy? Thank you.
Emergency clause. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Simmons, second by Mrs. Davis. Are there any questions?
Call for the question.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8 has been removed from the agenda. Mr. Lippian is not available today. We're going to move it down to pending items. So there's no other business to come before this committee. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Have a good night, everybody.